Welcome back. This is the special edition of our bulletin, and that's the legend we are discussing. The IIP number at 4.7%. I'm not sure whether even if September last we got a number like this. Yeah. That was the last good month of IIP numbers, September 2013, the pre-Diwali month. But 4.7 is a seminal number. At 3.76%, our own poll is well overtaken. Last month's was 3.4%, as the flashes are telling you. So any which way, this is either a 6-month high or it's perhaps much, much better. I can't remember. The only month I remember last time around was September, when we had a fairly decent IIP growth. But barring that, I think this is comes as an excellent performance. No, I think this is a multi-year high at 4.7%. Also, this means that this year we've got an April of 3.4 and a May of 4.7%. So we are heading to a 4% plus kind of growth for April and May. There's clearly the advantage of a very low base, almost a pathetic base. We were running in contraction April and May last year. So there is that advantage of a low base, but we would take this with both hands. We have of course seen that the May export growth itself was fairly substantial. So we have other reasons to believe that this would be good. Of course, the core sector number was also decent.
Actually, Lata, the core sector data was at a 4-month low, so it was completely contradictory to what we've gotten this IIP data. So goes to show that maybe there is that correlation which is completely snapped between the two.
And it has snapped several times in the past, but this is a very good number. Actually, we are awaiting more details. All we have is the headline number at this point in time, but still looking good. Let me get our experts in, if we can have them. Okay, they'll be joining us in a minute. Okay, Soumya and DK Joshi of CRISIL are with us, two top economists. Soumya, your first thoughts, with the caveat that I will interrupt you when I get more data. 4.7, does it take your breath away?
Yeah, I think it's a good number, but there is a little bit of base effect involved over there. If you purely look at the base effect and assuming that there was no incremental growth, the growth would have been at 3.7%. So even if on an incremental basis it is showing a 1% growth month and year on year, which I think is a healthy sign. The second thing is that I think it's a multi-year high, as you have correctly suggested. The last time we had a growth of 8.4% was in October 2012.
Oh, 2012.
And I believe that the growth should have come through in the capital goods sector, and I will not be surprised if I also see a little bit of buoyancy in the consumer durable sector.
We're getting a couple of numbers, if I may interrupt you. We've got the manufacturing sector growth at 4.8%. It is to be expected that that would be the best number, since that is 80% of the number. Electricity growth has come in at 6.3% versus 11.9. 6.3 per se is a very good number, and that was always expected.
And it's similar to the core sector.
Yeah. As well, electricity is one of the items that has been doing reasonably well for some time now. Those are the two numbers we have got. Manufacturing, I think we also saw mining, if you can remember.
Mining is at 2.7% growth this time round. It's actually a growth for the second consecutive month, because it was 1.2% in the previous month, and before that it was a contraction of 0.4%. So there is an uptake which has come in on mining as well. Manufacturing too is the second consecutive month of an uptake. It grew at 2.6% in the previous month, and it's grown at 4.8% this month. So manufacturing has actually come in much stronger and has been the key reason why we've seen the IIP at 4.7.
Okay. We are still awaiting more details in terms of the basic goods, the capital goods and the consumer goods. DK Joshi, does it surprise you as well?
Well, yeah, it did come as a surprise because we have been seeing low numbers for a while, but I think, as was pointed out earlier by you, that I think the base effect is definitely at play, and I think even at this rate of growth, the manufacturing sector or the industrial sector is still lagging the overall economy. So I think, but I think the good thing is that it is consistent with the other data that we are watching, whether it is the PMI or it is the exports. I think so it kind of ties in with that. Core sector I would completely ignore because core sector is up and down. I mean it's very difficult to read any trend of the core sector. But manufacturing picking up I think is somewhat welcome sign, and I think this year the growth will be led by more by industry than by agriculture as was the case last year. So I mean I would expect industrial activity to grow at least 4% this year.
Okay. Soumya, what is your expectation in terms of GDP growth? I know it's just 2 months of the first of the new fiscal that's come out, but even for the first quarter GDP growth, dealing with the poor monsoon as well as good IIP data now, what would you estimate it at?
See, in terms of the GDP numbers, I believe the first quarter should be more than 5%, and we should also remember that we had a 5.2% growth rate last year when the figures were revised for the second quarter. But I not looked too much into that number because that was some sort of a statistical artifact because of the huge increase in the credit and other things. But first quarter and a growth rate in excess of 5% looks a possibility, real possibility now. And the numbers, I can see the numbers which had come in. The capital goods sector has actually grown in May by 4.5%.
Okay.
So I think that's if I am correct, so I think that's a little bit disappointing because capital goods had a huge base effect involved last year.
Okay.
So on an incremental basis, I am not. So the number is not too much on the upside, and the consumer goods sector has done well, and the consumer durables number, I think we are still awaiting the number over here. But if we have the numbers, I think there is some uptick in the consumer durables sector.
No, we are still groping for the numbers over here. It hasn't yet come on our flashes yet. At the moment, all we have is that the mining has come in at 2.7, manufacturing at 4.8, and electricity at 6.3. Other details are still awaited. We don't even have the capital goods number of 4.8 that you are reading out. We have only manufacturing at 4.8. Sorry?
4.5% capital goods.
Okay. No, we are still awaiting. Soumya, you clearly have a source in PIB. Our PIB page is not even opening, so we are still waiting for details. Go ahead, Ekta. Okay, DK, I just wanted to know from you whether you will now be looking at upping your IIP forecast. What is the industrial growth forecast you have factored into your GDP number, and does it look like with 2 continuous months of coming better than street expectation, whether there is a good chance that you will have to up your industrial growth number?
Well, I think we'll wait. We have an industrial growth output projection of 3.6%, and I think we'll wait for some more time because the monsoon risk, I think, is very much material, and I think if monsoons don't revive in a significant manner, I think that's also going to hit.
Okay, we've got some numbers. Sorry to interrupt. 1 minute. I'll just tell you the numbers that we have. Intermediate goods growth has come in at 2.7%. Consumer goods has come in at 3.7%. That is versus a minus 6.6%. So not a great number. Consumer durables has come in at 3.2 versus a minus 18.3. Consumer non-durables has come in at 3.9% versus 3.8. So just to revise the numbers, I think I didn't read basic goods. That's coming at a decent 6.3%. Capital goods at 4.5%, as Soumya said, compared to a contraction of 3.7% year ago. Intermediate goods 2.7, but that has been having a decent run. Decent as in low single digits for some time now, but not contracting. Consumer durables growth has come in at 3.2%. That again would count in as a fairly decent performance. Our last consumer goods number in April was minus 5.1. So compared to that, we are getting a 3.7% consumer goods number. Consumer durables had contracted 7.6%. Now we are getting a consumer durables growth of 3.2. Consumer non-durables again growth of 3.9. So all the consumer indices are showing a definite uptick for the month of May.
In fact, just to add on consumer durables,
as Soumya said.
Consumer durables has been showing multi-month contraction. So I think this is the first month in many months that it's shown a growth of 3.2%. Just to put things into perspective, last month it was a contraction of 7.6%, and the month before that it was a contraction of around 11.8%. Mr. Joshi, your thoughts on this? Consumer durables showing a positive uptick?
Well, I think it was, see, if you look at some of the durable segments like auto, etc., there was a visible upturn. So there was a precursor to that, that there's some parts of consumer durables which is discretionary income linked. I think they are beginning to move up. And also, I think, let me bring in the budget here, because I think budget has also done a very few things, but nevertheless, I think things to promote consumption and particularly help the manufacturing sector, because excise in some of the segments have been cut down. At the same time, I think some more money has been put in the hands of people. So if you combine that together, I think that's going to be though very mildly, but yet positive to the base case for manufacturing.
So what are you working with?
What will come in handy?
What are you working with for the year, the DK? Industrial growth?
For the consumer, industrial growth is 3.6%.
Okay, and you don't think that you need to revise it higher because the first 2-month average is 4?
Yeah, and also because I think the monsoon is yet to, I think the fog is still there on the monsoon front. I think if it is complete washout, then I think we will not need to revise it up. But if the monsoon revives, then I think some additional kick from rural side will be visible. But I think there's no clarity on that as of yet.
Your 3.6%, did you say, industrial growth is leading to what kind of a GDP forecast for FY15?
5.5%.
Okay. Now to you, Soumya, your thoughts on all the numbers, the average of 4% for April and May. What is your IIP number for the year and your GDP number? Will you look to revise it higher?
See, just a few things before I say about the GDP projections, which for ours is at 5.3 to 5.5% for the year.
Okay.
I am very, the consumer durables growth rate at 3.2% is actually very surprising, and it also gives some sort of hope, because on a purely incremental basis, as you just pointed out, there's an 18% degrowth in the corresponding month of last year. If you had just assumed that degrowth, the consumer durable segment would have grown at 0.9%. So there is a clearly an incremental impact involved in the consumer durable sector. And our internal analysis also studied that consumer sentiments had improved significantly in May and also in June. So you will not be if you also see an uptick in June. And so some of the sectors like automotive, consumer durables, real estate sectors will also started to do well. The other thing about the capital goods sector is that the commercial vehicle segment, which has seen an, I think, 14-month continuous degrowth in the excess of 20%. I think last 2-3 months has been better, and that's also an encouraging sign for the capital goods segment. So taking all these factors into account, and if the monsoon risks and if the rains of monsoon which has revived in the first week of July, and if assumes that it goes through at the same rate, we are confident that there could be an upside to the GDP projections, which we have 5.3 to 5.5%, but in terms of the IIP numbers, we are a little bit closer to 4%, and if the monsoon risk doesn't play out, there could be some sort of an uptick from our current estimated projection of 5.3 to 5.5%.
Okay. Soumya, what would you consider in terms of a trajectory for the consumer durables now? Is it too soon to say that there could be a little bit of a green shoot showing within that segment?
See, the consumer durables, I think, will definitely benefit from a very low base, because I think in one of the subsequent months there is a 22% degrowth. So it will continue to show an uptick, and our internal research also suggests that the index is showing an uptick, and in the next couple of months it should do better than what it has been doing in the past.
Okay, at long last we have got the table with us. In consumer goods, the index month on month is 181.7 in April, is 181.1 in May. So even index wise, of course, month on month there is not much of an improvement in consumer goods. It is clearly the base effect that is showing up. Let's remember, even in terms of man days worked, April is a much smaller month, May is a bigger month, it's 31 days as well, it doesn't have as many holidays as April has. So correct me if I'm wrong, therefore the consumer goods numbers coming in at an index level lower indicates that this is entirely base effect, DK?
Yeah, there could also be seasonality, though I don't remember the seasonal factor for the month of May, but I think there's a seasonal element also in addition to what you just mentioned.
Clearly, capital goods are indicating much better performance. Again, month on month, 237 is the index for April and 228.7 is the index for May. So if you're looking at the total amount of capital goods produced, April produced more goods than May. But because of the base effect, May is looking fairly decent compared to the previous May. Basic goods, there has been an outperformance both month on month as well as year on year. Month on month, 161 has become 165.3. In consumer durables, there is a distinct performance improvement, though incremental. Even in a month-on-month terms, 255 index has become 261.7, and in consumer non-durables, again it's more the base effect. There isn't a month-on-month improvement. All told, this clearly looks like consumption has picked up in some pockets, but it is not a whole lot of a consumption story. This looks like it's more a low base and therefore an improvement story. Let's get a bond market guy in as well. Agam Gupta, Managing Director and Head of Foreign Exchange Rates and Credit Trading in Standard Chartered South Asia is with us. Agam, what's your view now? 4.7, we haven't seen that kind of a decent number since October of 2012. That is something like a 20-month high is what we are seeing. Do you think that this is going to, does this look like recovery to you? And therefore, will the bond markets react that you can't expect any rate cuts from the Reserve Bank anytime soon?
Well, I think that the bond market will probably take this number favorably. There's no reason for it to take it unfavorably.
Okay.
It just shows that the economy is recovering. I think if the economy is recovering, then there's a good, it's a better chance for the government to meet the fiscal deficit targets. I think on the rate side, anyway, it's more linked to the fact where CPI will be and what the trajectory of CPI is. That's very clear. So a good IIP number, I think, is good for markets. I think it's good for bond markets also.
Okay. Well, we have Anand Tandon, an independent market expert, stock market expert, also joining us. Anand, the May number for industrial growth has come in at 4.7% on the back of a 3.4% in April. This is the first time we've got 2 consecutive months of a positive and reasonably positive economic industrial growth. The last time we had a decent number was in October of 2012 when we had an 8%, largely driven by festive restocking. So this is the best number we have had in 20 months and maybe the best number in terms of a 2-month growth in many years. Is this quite distinctly recovery?
Well, it does look like it. I mean, there is no reason to believe otherwise. Obviously, there has been an improvement, for example, in mining, where, stopped mines have perhaps actually started. There has been an improvement in consumer sentiment, backed no doubt by the fact that, markets have been very buoyant and therefore there may be some amount of wealth effect. And at the end of the day, people don't stop completely consuming. They may slow it down, but they find they have to go out and buy stuff. And that would have got reflected in production as well.
Okay. Well,
go ahead.
Anand, we're talking to you after we've got the provisional figures for the FII data today, which is a sell figure from the FIIs of over 700 crores. Do you think that this IIP data or maybe continued macro data could stir sentiment on the positive side at all?
Well, there are 2 things there. One, the fact is that the market has run up too much and therefore it was kind of ripe for a correction. The second is that we've got a kind of budget where you almost thought that it was Mr. Chidambaram delivering it with a different face. There wasn't much there for anyone to feel that, till you see some action, it wasn't any different at all. And all the things which one is worried about, GAR, retrospective tax, and even horrible things like, actually the tax on mutual funds and so on. None of them are necessarily positive steps or growth enhancing steps. In fact, I would think that without a higher deficit number, it is impossible to generate higher growth overall. So therefore, well, I think without a higher deficit number, with the same revenue and expenditure, I don't see how growth will be any higher.
No, that point is taken. But Anand, until now, the stock markets were rising on the hope of action by the government, on the hope of an economic upturn. this is an economic, well, upturn is a strong word, but economic recovery. Green shoots can't apply better than to this situation of an April and a May number, both of which surprised us in terms of the poll numbers that we had by a good 1 percentage point. Do you therefore think that foreign investors in particular will now take cognizance of this, that the long-awaited recovery is now actually there?
Well, you have to remember two things. One, you are automatically assuming that the growth in corporate profit this year is twice that of last year, right? The Sensex or Nifty consensus numbers are supposed to show a 15% growth as opposed to 8% that happened last year. So you automatically are assuming they'll be higher. With that, the market is now trading at 16.5, 17 times current year's earning and 15 times next year. And we've also had a huge run in most companies, 70-80% upside.
Yeah.
So, if it has to grow 20%, it means it has to be a large correction.
No, short point, therefore, markets need not react on Monday positively to this number simply because valuations have already caught up.
Well, I think, you'll find multiple bounces because there are a lot of people on the sidelines. So the first sell-off will be bought, the second sell-off will be bought, and the third one is when the crack will happen.
Okay. Well, Agam Gupta, how will the FX markets react? After all, they're also a product of FII sentiment.
I think the FX market will take it positively, definitely. I mean, we've heard from our overseas investors that we are a country of low growth and high inflation. Now, if there is a bit of an upturn in growth and you start seeing IIP numbers in the 3 to 4 to 5% zone in the coming months, it'll definitely be positive for sentiment.
Okay. Agam, will the overarching concerns still be fiscal deficit for the bond markets, and the IIP won't do enough to negate the bond market to soften enough, maybe pre-budget, to the pre-budget levels rather?
I mean, absolutely. I think the overriding concern is what the fiscal deficit will be and how it's going to be met, whether it's going to be met without any extra market borrowing.
If anything, this should drive it even lower, isn't it? The bond prices and drive yields higher, isn't it? After all,
I mean, in the conventional sense, higher growth means lower bond prices or whatever. But I mean, I don't think that's going to happen.
Okay. So, the impact of this number on bond yields on Monday?
Yeah, I don't see any negative impact on bond yields on Monday from this number.
Fair point. Agam, thanks a lot for joining us. Thanks, Anand, as well. Let me keep the two economists for just one final questions from both of you. If I want you all to take a bet, what are the chances that you all will go back and in a couple of months increase your industrial output target for the year and your GDP target? Soumya.
See, in terms of the revisions of the industrial target and the GDP target, I think it's too early to say, but our internal estimates suggest that yes, there is an improved sentiments, at least as far as consumer spending is concerned, and that is being reflected in the consumer durables data. So in the month of June and July also, we will not be surprised if we continue to see an uptick. So if the uptick continues, say for around 3 months, well into say the month of July, August or so, because as we all know that these excise cuts have now been postponed has been shifted till December. So, and also this cut in the budget, the LED cut which has happened. So these are positive steps, and maybe in the next 2 to 3 months we can go and revise our forecast.
Okay, so there is a chance. I mean, is there a 50% chance, 10% chance, 25% chance?
The chance could be on the higher side as long as the CD, consumer durable segment,
fair enough. Same question to you, DK. What are the chances that economists like you will revise up, if not now, but I'm just asking you if there is a very good chance?
Well, I think I would say 50%, and I think that probably will be shaped more by what happens to the monsoons, because that's an uncertainty right now. To what extent it is going to be suboptimal, that's clear, but how much suboptimal is going to be the differentiator. And I think if it is partially, it's a partial failure which we are assuming, I think there's a good chance that we might revise the industrial output upwards.
Alright. DK, Soumya, Anand, Agam, thank you very much for joining us on this special edition of the industrial output number. After many days, we have had poor performance of the stock markets, but good performance on the macro front. That's it. The news continues on CNBC TV 18.